So day three, we're looking at really the foundations and fundamentals of what we're trying to achieve here. Well done on completing the first 2 days in this challenge. Today, what I really want to focus on is the breath work, the position of your spine, specifically your head, rib cage, and your hips. So we're going to spend a little time here working through some drills and really developing our understanding of where you want your body to be as you move through your exercises. So, with the breath, specifically on the inhale, you're breathing in through the nostrils, and that's going to be when you're relaxing or coming out of the effort phase of an exercise. So, looking at a push up as an example, the effort happens when you're lifting your chest and pushing away from the ground. And as you relax into the exercise, that's actually when you're lowering the chest down to the ground. So, on the inhale through the nostrils, that's when you are going to lower the chest down to the ground. When you are inhaling, take a nice deep breath in, and you're breathing into the base of the rib cage, so you're getting a nice deep breath. We're looking at breathing outwards, so lateral thoracic breathing rather, which is where the rib cage moves out to the side as opposed to up and away from the ground. So you get a real sense of breathing into the back of the rib cage. As you exhale, you're breathing out through pursed lips. So imagine blowing out a candle as an example. That breathing through pursed lips will help with the breath control. It also helps to add rhythm to your movement. So if we get down on the ground, just have a look at our breathing. I'd like you to join me on the mat, and you're going to have the knees up, feet flat on the ground. And we're going to begin by taking the breath in through the nose and breathing deep into the rib cage. As I'm breathing, what you'll notice is that the rib cage is not moving up, but it's moving out to the side, which is difficult to see on the camera. Moving out to the side, and I'm breathing into the back of my ribs. That helps with that grounding sensation, but it also helps to bring and keep my spine in alignment. As I breathe out, as I mentioned, I'm breathing out through pursed lips. And when it's a long, slow movement, the breath follows the same pattern. But when it's a short, sharp movement, as an example, crunches, that's when the breath itself is short and sharp. There's a contraction in the abdomen with those short, sharp breaths. Imagine when you sneeze, that strong contraction and tensation of your abdomen. That's what you're looking for as you breathe out through pursed lips. You want to really maintain this breath work throughout the movements. And if you ever find that you lose that connection with the breath, it's okay to be human and take your time, come out of the exercise, catch your breath, reconnect, and then join into the movement. So breathing deep into the base of your rib cage, you're also engaging your diaphragm, which is that flat muscle that sits right at the base of the rib cage. When you breathe in through the nostrils, take the diaphragm in and up to help with spine stabilization and breath control as well. So now that we've looked at your breathing, let's have a look at your head position. For that, we're going to roll down onto the ground once more and then take our attention to the position of our head. What we're looking for in Pilates as we move through the exercises is good posture. And that's from the crown of the head to the base of your spine, the tailbone. So to find a nice neutral position through the head and the neck, we're going to begin with a head nod by gently tucking the chin towards your chest, specifically the clavicle, and then untucking. It's a really subtle movement as you tuck the chin and then untuck. There's a gentle restriction in the throat as you tuck the chin, and then an opening sensation as you untuck. We'll do one more, and then relax. You're trying to find this position in between that tucked chin and then that untucking. So once you've found that neutral position through the neck, this is the position that you want to maintain through any of your laying exercises or your seated or standing exercises. So if we take the curl up as an example, we're going to interlace our hands behind our head, gently finding that length through the neck and that neutral position in between that tuck and that untucked chin. We begin the curl up by lifting through the head and chest as we draw our rib cage down towards our hips. Notice that I am not pulling on the back of my head. The head remains in the same position and the lift happens through the torso. And as you roll down, your eyes track up the wall back to the ceiling. So let's do that one more time. The eyes track down the ceiling and the wall. Keep that length through the neck and that gentle restriction through the throat. And then roll back down again to finish off the movement. So you're always looking for that neutral position through the head, neck, and the remainder of the spine. So for that, we're going to look at rib cage position. So for your rib cage, we're taking it back to the breath work. It always begins with the breath. And remember, we're trying to breathe out laterally to the sides and deep into the base of the rib cage. So when you found that nice neutral position, taking the arm float exercise as an example, as you extend the arm over the head, notice that there is no movement through the chest or the shoulders. The upper spine is remaining glued into the ground. And as I float the arms back down by my side, you can see that there's very little to no movement through the rib cage. So you're always maintaining that nice neutral spine position through the extension and flexion of the arms. And that's the positioning of your rib cage. So next, as we work down the spine, we're now looking at the positioning of the hips in relation to the rib cage and the head. So taking your thumbs to the base of your rib cage, and then your pointing fingers to the top of your hips. You want to imagine your hips as a cog, and you're gently tilting your hips towards you and then rolling them away from you. What you're looking for as you tilt the hips towards you is that rolling forwards of the hip bones. And as you roll the hips away from you, a slight rise. So when you're tilting towards you and rolling away from you, your lower back is gently pressing into the mat and then lifting off the mat. It's a really subtle movement, but what you're trying to achieve is that neutral position of the spine. Once you've found that nice neutral position where your lower back, your lower spine is grounded into the mat and there's a gentle lowering of the hips, you want to maintain that alignment. Try not to squeeze your glutes and lift them off of the ground. You want to keep your glutes relaxed. The only movement that's happening is through the hips themselves. So there's no additional tension being built up. So your neutral spine is that gentle tilting of the hips forwards. you've already set your rib cage position in place where you're breathing out to the side and deep into the base of the ribs, and then you've got a nice neutral position through your head and neck as well. So to test your positioning of your spine, we're going to bring both legs into tabletop, so knees over hips and shins parallel to the ground. You should be able to rest a glass of water on your shins without spilling a single drop. Now, if you couldn't feel your lower back if you couldn't feel your lower back planted into the mat, the moment that you lift your legs into tabletop, you should be able to feel that connection between the two. We're going to take one leg and we're going to lower the thigh down to the ground, gently tap and lift back into tabletop. Again, what you're looking for is that stability and that fixed neutral position in the lower spine as you lower and lift. And the effort in this movement is as you bring the legs back up, that's where you should be breathing through pursed lips. And then the inhale as you lower the leg down to the ground. Take one more and pause. Slowly lower your feet down to the ground. So we've taken a deeper look into the position of your spine from the crown of your head through the tailbone. Now I just want to bring everything together into one neat movement we call the bird dog. And we're going to try and maintain the breath, maintain the neutral positioning of the spine as we extend and move through this exercise. So for this, we're going to come onto our hands and knees, taking the hands below the shoulders and knees below the hips. You want the knees to be hip width apart. Looking for length through the spine, specifically the neck. Imagine that you're being pulled from the crown of your head through the tailbone, with a gentle tucking of the chin, fixed chest position, and also neutral lower back. We're going to take the left hand and the right leg and extend. Take it as far as is comfortable for you. If you can reach your bicep, your upper arm past your ear, then go for it. And if you can reach your leg to the bottom of your mat, squeezing the glutes and the back of the thighs. You're only lifting the leg as high as the lower crease of your buttocks. Take a nice deep breath in through the nostrils and set the hands back down and the knees. Let's do two more, trying to maintain that length through the spine. But this time, as you extend, breathing through pursed lips, check in with your alignment. The shoulders and chest, as well as the hips, should be facing the mat, square on. Inhale through the nostrils, set the hands and knees back down, and exhale through pursed lips as you extend through the arms and the legs once more. Set the hands and knees down to finish off, and gently come off of the wrists. So in Pilates, there's this thing called the box, which refers to the shoulders and the hips. So if you're maintaining that nice, smooth, neutral spine, the box should never be twisted or contorted. It should always be stable and facing square on. So in your bird dog, as an example, the moment that you lift the arms and the legs, you're looking for that stabilization of the shoulders and the hips through the movement. And as you bring the hands and the feet back down to the ground, everything within that box remains stable and strong. So I would like to take this opportunity to revisit just some of the points that we discussed, specifically the breath, taking the inhale through the nostrils through the relaxation phase of the movements, and exhalation is when you breathe through pursed lips and you are exerting force. You're always looking for a nice neutral spine from the crown of your head. So the head nod is a nice way to find that in between position between that tucking of the chin and that extension of the throat. Your chest and rib cage should always be neutral. You're always breathing deep into the back of the ribs and into the diaphragm, the base of the rib cage, and expanding out to the side. The lumbar spine, you are always looking for that neutral hip position. So a gentle tilting of the hips upwards to bring the hips and the rib cage closer together and begin to stabilize the lower spine. Everything else, you're just bringing it all together through any movement that we work through during the rest of this challenge. So feel free to revisit all of these pointers and always practice engaging each of these steps in whatever exercises we do. And I want you to enjoy the experience as we move forwards. So I'll see you during the next challenge. Until then, peace.